Pali Lehohla joins us now. He gave that address a little bit earlier on. Let's unpack it now as he joins us via Zoom. Dr. Lehohla, always good to talk to you. Thanks so much indeed for your time.
Well, in a partial darkness, but these are the times.
The sign of the times, aren't they? So you delivered this year's annual Chief Albert Luthuli Memorial Lecture. I know that the theme was modelling the path to a better life for all, a roadmap to peace and stability for a new generation in South Africa. When you were confronted with this theme, what thoughts came through your mind that you shared with the audience today?
Well, they were very difficult thoughts, particularly because Chief Albert Luthuli was a forthright man who wished for better through what I call the 10 most quotable quotes, which I then said should be the 10 commandments of Luthuli's leadership and commitment to change. Given that kind of challenge about Luthuli and looking at what the current crop of the ANC is actually doing, 6 days to conference, there's very little around resolving the issues of unemployment, inequality, injustice, and making a clear footprint on the African continent as an African country. So with that kind of situation, I thought that in the conclusion, particularly paying homage to Manuel Kanya, to ask the question, if South Africa were a widow, what widow would it represent as a metaphor? I had 3 widow metaphors. The widow whose husband goes and gets comfort, seeks comfort in poverty as a constant reminder that the great man is gone and therefore she succumbs to poverty as a sign of the great man having gone. The second widow is one who, when the great man is gone, she celebrates the riches and everything and about everything and senselessly loses the pathway and the legacy of the family. The third widow is the one who actually preserves the legacy, fights on, and this is the widow which Luthuli has been. The question I was asking is, what widow is South Africa? It looks like it's the second widow, who has sold everything, has become promiscuous, and has actually abandoned the family and the legacy, and spits on the graves of people like Solomon Mahlangu. This is where we are under the leadership of this current ANC, the ANC of Luthuli. Can it be recovered? Can we actually do better? It's very difficult to say, because the trajectory towards this theme of a better life, we were on that around 2003 to 2007. And Polokwane came and actually defined a different trajectory. And then everything that is happening, including into Palapala S89 investigation, characterizes this particular widow, who is not Kanya Luthuli, who is not Winnie Mandela, who is not Albertina Sisulu, who is not Adelaide Tambo, who is not Nziki Biko, who is not Dimpohani. It's a strange widow that we have in South Africa. And those who have gone, looking down at us, looking at what widow have we created, surely they are all disappointed. And nothing is giving us courage that there can be some change in this. The question is, can this widow, generated and created by Chief Luthuli, be kept in that shack that is the ANC today? That's the question that society should ask. It is possible, I think, for as long as we stick to the 10 commandments of Chief Luthuli. But if not, cannot keep that gentle widow of Chief Luthuli in that shack.
Chief Albert Luthuli was president of the ANC for something like 15 years, and there were presidents before and after him. What do you think the qualities that he had in his leadership that is missing today?
Well, everything that he had is missing today. He had the honesty about him. He had the resilience about him. He wasn't greedy. He provided for his community and enabled their community to work the fields. Mama Nolkanya would go with the women to the fields to grow their crops. For instance, Chief Albert Luthuli implemented the BEE long ago, when the Afrikaners were saying that the sugar farmers should not grow sugar by keeping the price very low. What Albert Luthuli did was to establish an association of sugar farmers. 200 of them were there, and then they grew sugar. He actually then competed with the Afrikaners, including implementing the enterprise supply development through this muscle that he had of sugar association farmers. He was a man who was looking not only at South Africa, but was looking at the continent of Africa and the world at large. So he was different, completely different. He generated hope for the people. Now in South Africa today, we are sitting here in darkness. People are tearing at each other apart for who will be the president, who will be the chairperson, who will be this of the ANC. There is absolutely nothing of a promise that talks to the unemployment, poverty, and inequality, let alone the current electricity crisis. So as we enter that, what kind of beer hall, what kind of hall are we entering? Indeed, that looks like a beer hall of drunkards. That is this conference that is coming, without any hope for this country. It will take a miracle for that conference to generate policies that can take South Africa out of where it is. And it will take a miracle to actually embed the principles of Luthuli, unless the ANC rips itself apart and says, this is who we are. We have been naked for very long. We apologize for whatever we have, and not even ask for being elected, but prove that certainly they are worth being elected into power.
I suppose when you talk about policies and the future, it all depends on the leaders that are chosen. And this is one of the big things that will happen at the conference next week. Do you think perhaps the party needs to reset how it looks at how it chooses leaders among them?
Indeed, I think we have to go through a process. You see, the Luthuli group, the Mandela group, the Sisulu group, the Mbeki group, at the time, they were chosen by selection, by going through this field of thorns and walking those thorns, and society would see that. Subsequent to that, then there will be an election out of that crop that has demonstrated unquestionable ethical leadership. This crop that we have starts with election. And we elect everything. The bar is so low. Everybody who has failed in doing their business or doing work where it is worth, go into politics. And how do we think as a nation we can succeed with that kind of process? This was the comment added by Professor Fike, where we looked at the broken leadership. People are in the position of leadership without any leadership quality. This is what has put ANC where it is today, where on the eve of the conference, people are at each other's throats. And there's a pala sitting on our neck on the eve of a conference that, if ANC actually remains the majority party, has to determine what the next 110 years of South Africa will be. In an energy crisis, there is no shred of confidence left in me that the ANC can be that party of Luthuli, unless it does something absolutely drastic.
Dr. Pali Lehohla, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for unpacking your delivery of the annual Luthuli lecture today. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. In darkness, it feels
Yes.
good to be in the dark at times.
Wow. That's Dr. Pali Lehohla, who delivered the annual Chief Albert Luthuli Memorial Lecture earlier today, speaking about the challenges that the current leadership of the ANC has, and he's not very optimistic about the future of the country with the current crop of leaders that the governing party has.